Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to some of us. My name is Dr. Tanko Yusuf Azika, Acting Director of Programs, African Ministers Council on Water based in Abuja. Ladies and gentlemen, I am deeply honored to be the chairperson for this all-important webinar today, which will take us through on online learning on the groundwater courses that took place some few months ago. You are warmly welcome to this webinar. On behalf of the conveners, I thank you sincerely for joining us today, despite competing priorities that you might already have on your schedules. This webinar offers an opportunity to learn about the experiences of two online courses that took place earlier on, as I've indicated, and these courses were run thanks to the financial support of BGR and other, of course, other conveners, as we will see in the next slide. Next slide, please. As you have seen here, without mentioning, the numbers are many here, and the support was so great, funded by BGR, AMCAO, Support, Water Aid, you name them, as we have seen in this slide. But permit me to take us through some few housekeeping rules in the next slide. Distinguished guests, the webinar will be recorded and published online. Please, let's keep ourselves muted, especially when you are not speaking at any point in time. I can see Casey has already instructed us to put our names, organization, and country in the chat box. Thanks so much for that. You can put your questions and comments on the Zoom chat box as well. And then when you are speaking, for us to set faces together, as you can see my face, I believe you switch on your camera when you are speaking, of course, if possible, if the network connectivity will allow you to do so. And in case you have any technical problems, any challenges, please contact Antonella Peripato, our host, in the chat box. And I'm sure she's already in the chat box managing affairs as we speak now. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me take some few more minutes to run through the agenda in the next slide. Great. As we have seen here, the slide here presents the agenda for today's all-important webinar. We will start with a short presentation about the course by Dr. Mustafa, who is already here with us. And then we will listen to our important distinguished discussers who indeed participated actively in the course. As the names we have them here together: Mesmo, Jima University, Nancy Samyukta, Jawahar Technology University in India. As I think the name here is Asma Omar, our Hajesa Water Agency from Somalia, and Tito Lala from Bright Oridami from the Lagos Water Corporation. Then we will open up briefly for just some clarifications. Then we will also listen to the other side of the coin, that is our co-facilitators who supported through and through the success of this course. And then we'll open up and then perhaps wrap up with some few important takeaway key learnings from this webinar. That is where we are at this moment on the agenda items. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I wanted to call on Dr. Mustafa Dian of Sheikh Anta Diop in Dakar, Senegal, and the Africa Groundwater Network, who indeed oversaw the development of the course and managed it through and through. Dr. Mustafa, over to you to take us through the next slides.
Basically, it's not going to be IHE, but a partner from the South.
Thank you very much, Chair. Next slide, please.
Preferably a female. And then preferably a young female.
Next slide, please. Yes. Yes. I'm going to talk about the groundwater management course that was held from April to August this year, and we'll talk about the objective the format of the course and also the feedback that we got from this course. Next slide, please. As you see, this course was built based on, some gap that we observe in Africa, the gap about capacity strengthening for groundwater that remain a little bit marginalized by political leadership and international funding. And we know that groundwater resources are very important in Africa, since more than 75% of African population rely on these resources. And regarding also the commitment of our government to SDG 6.1 on access on drinking water supply, we really rely on groundwater resources, mainly in rural area where we don't have other alternative sources of water. Next slide, please. When we look in the past, the past of Africa Groundwater Network, because I'm here as a member of African Groundwater Network, that was established in 2008 in Johannesburg, South Africa. And since 2009, we have organized face-to-face courses that targeted around 25 people each on groundwater management. And this event were funded by various partners like CapNet, BGR, like this, the EAS Burden Commission, the Niger River Basin User Commission, the SADC GMI, etc., etc. And in the recent past also, if you see the launch of AMCAO Pan-African Groundwater Program in 2019, one of the main activities was related to capacity strengthening stream. And Africa Groundwater Network, together with other organizations, was also involved in developing this capacity building on groundwater network. And thanks to our partners and thanks to BGR, we have this 2022 courses this year. Next slide, please. And the objective of this online courses mainly was to raise awareness about groundwater policy regulation and the need also to improve practices. Also, one of these objectives was to build the capacity for comprehensive knowledge of aquifer characteristics for mainly those who have low background in groundwater. Understand basic of groundwater process and their interaction with human activities, with land use, also in the context of African countries. Also generate awareness on transboundary aquifer, because you have more than 80 transboundary aquifer in Africa shared with many countries. Next slide, please. This groundwater resource management courses has 5 modules. The first one is related to characterization of aquifer system from a management perspective. The second one, groundwater monitoring and data information management and communication. The third, groundwater quality and source water protection. And the module 4 is related to groundwater regulation, licensing, allocation, and institution for aquifer management. And the last one was about transboundary aquifer in Africa's approaches and the mechanism. As you can see, not all aspects of groundwater management are covered. So there's a room, to develop all the aspects of groundwater management, depending of the demand, depending of, the context in which you are. So this course can be improved, can be widened to embrace, to encompass all the aspects of groundwater management. Next slide, please. Also, this course was a self-led courses, targeting more than 200 participants. Self-led courses, let me explain a little bit on this. It's courses that participants progress in their own pace. They are not progressing at the same time. So you see, the groundwater resources started on 29 April to the end of August. Some participants may start at the beginning or at the middle, so they are not progressing at the same level, at the same pace. That's one particularity of these courses. Also, in these courses, there are some tasks devoted to participants. For instance, to read compulsory content, to participate in the discussion forum, to respond to multiple choice questions, and that allows them, for instance, to progress from one module to another module. Participants have also access to additional optional reading, video, and web link. So that's the kind of the course style that we have in this particular. And as you see on the map on your right, you see that participants were coming from, above 60 countries on the world. So it's not only focused on Africa. We have also participants from Asia, from Latin America, and even from Europe. Next slide, please. And we have more than 800 applicants. So the demand was there. And in the selection process, we have emphasized on African participants, also on women and government staff. And at the end, more than 200 were selected in these courses, and nearly 120 participants completed the course and generate their certificate. Means that participants who complete successfully the courses and responded to the survey, are around 120. As you can see also in the statistics are here, we have more than 50% of public institutions in these courses, and also women. More than 1/3 of participants were women. So it's really, was beyond our target and our expectation. That's yes. Next slide, please. After this course, we have a survey, and we really have positive feedback from participants. I only selected some, feedback from participants, but all feedback will be, inserted in the report. The report is already done, And the report will be shared also through a link that we will be communicate. In a few days. But you can see that about the knowledge acquired or about the expectation, you can see that more than 80% of participants are extremely satisfied about the knowledge they gain, or also think that the expectations are really met through this course. Okay? We selected some feedback and issues that were raised by participants. For instance, one of our participants suggests to continue this virtual campus training to reach wider audience, because he thinks that the courses did not need the detachment from routine job. So you can be on your location job and follow the course. Also, other suggestion, this participant suggests a live session in addition to tutorial that would be interesting. Also think that we need to have networking with our fellow participants in the future. Also about diploma, the need to have a diploma courses, that I think this request can be taken into account by university or other school. Also, one of the participants was not satisfied with the level of interaction. So he suggests learner and student, to schedule a live discussion to enhance interaction between participants. So you see that some satisfaction were raised, but also you have some issue that were raised, and you can in the future, in the next courses, improve the courses. Next slide, please. Now back. One slide back. Yes, thank you. As you see, I don't see the slide. Antonella. Hello, Antonella.
Yeah, sorry, give me a minute, please.
Okay, good. Good, thank you. As you can see, we have finished these courses together with the second training courses on professional drilling management. And we think that this course has inspired other public or private entity to undertake some similar courses, and also to undertake the same courses in other languages, because this course was in English, and we can have it in French or in Portuguese or even in Spanish. And also we saw that there's a lot of sharing about these courses, and we enhance this sharing through these courses. Documentation also was there, and the feedback we received that people were very happy about the documentation they found in during these courses. So satisfaction was can be found fine in these courses, and we need these courses to be, to be organized regularly. Annual cycle, for instance. For this, we need financing. And we think that this kind of courses can improve practices in groundwater management, can improve policies also about groundwater management, improve university courses. The curricula of university courses can be also can be interested in this kind of courses. Why not organize some face-to-face, depending on the demand, training on groundwater management, where maybe more aspect of groundwater management can be covered. So we see that these courses need to be embedded in entity, and we can share freely all the materials that we have to expand the knowledge on groundwater, to raise awareness on groundwater. Thank you very much. Back to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mustafa Dia, for taking us through the overview of the course, the objectives, as well as the number of participation. And I can see indeed there were huge numbers that really entered for this course, registered over 800 participants. And then, but we could only end up having taken about 232. Why? Because inadequate funding and time was not available. At this moment, I don't want to open it yet for discussion, but I will tell Dr. Mustafa to hold his horses, just be on the sideline, and let's hear from the horse's own mouth, the key participants who are our discussants today on this particular platform. Please move me to the next slide so that I can introduce the next one again, so that I can introduce my distinguished discussants. Great. So we are privileged to have Madam Tigers Mesmo. She's a lecturer and researcher at Jima Institute of Technology. She graduated in civil engineering from Haramaya University, and as an undergrad and Master of Science in Geotechnical Engineering from Jima University. We will hear from her shortly. Also to hear again from one of the key discussants is also Madam Nancy Samyukta, is an assistant manager, carbon and sustainability from India, a creative thinker, performance-driven carbon markets and nature-based solutions. We will hear from also her shortly. And I can see she's already online. I peeped through the chat box and I could see her name over there. Without further ado, please let the first short video recorded message roll on from Madam Tigers Mesmo. Over to you.
Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you for having a time. I'm Tigers Mesmo from Ethiopia, from Juma University. Today I would like to share my experience regarding the course that I was taken before, is that groundwater resource management. The reason why I'm taking the course was that I want to solve a problem related with the groundwater resources. Here in Ethiopia, our agricultural productivities mostly depend on the water, so I want to solve such kind of a problem related with the groundwater resources. While I was enrolling the course, all the course materials like videos, websites, as well as the PDFs, all are clear, understandable, and easy to access it. As a main challenge that I am facing during the enrollment of the course with that, I couldn't reach out enough professionals on the discussion forum. As you know, there are a lot of points were listed on the discussion forum in order to know our experience, to share our knowledge. So I couldn't reach out enough professionals in order to share our experiences there. As a main takeaway from the courses, among all the modules of the courses, I was really enjoyed and loved that module 5, which talk about the groundwater monitoring and information management system. So as per my perception, it is very important and vital to have a registered data information regarding the groundwater resource in order to enhance our monitoring system and increases our recording system, and to have an information for further research and study. It is important to register the information well. Thank you for having a time. This is all what I have experienced on the courses. Goodbye.
Hello everyone, I am Nancy from India. I want to thank UNDP for giving me the opportunity to share my feedback on the course Groundwater Resources Management. And I was able to complete this course with 92% out of 100. Currently, I'm working as an assistant manager in the carbon markets and sustainability domain. During my master's, I happened to work with the Ministry of HRD of the Government of India. And me being from the electrical background and my master's being in energy systems, I happened to work in a village which suffered with a lot of water pollution problems. And I have decided to come up with a water filter which the villagers would use to help fight the effects of pollution. This water filter was awarded a national level award named Lilavati 2021 under the sub-theme Environment, Sanitation and Hygiene. From then on, water has become my interest, and furthermore, it has become a passion. I want to thank the course designers who have designed this course to help people like me, not being from a water resources background, but still I was able to understand the course and it has helped me a lot. I want to study further on this topic and come out with a better solution and innovative solution for people throughout India. Thank you.
Yes, we're still going to benefit also from Madam Asma Omar, who is a civil engineer from Hargeisa, Somalia. She got her master's degree in structural engineering and gained a vast experience in engineering design. Exactly, in engineering design from the initial conceptual stage and feasibility study. In the last 2 years, she has been working for Hargeisa Water Agency as one of the water engineers. Distinguished guest, currently she's a project officer, a water infrastructure engineer at World Vision International. Madam Hargeisa, if you are online, the better for me to share, but if not, we can roll on the recorded message.
Hello everyone, I am Asma Omer from Hargeisa, Somaliland, Horn of Africa. I'm a civil engineer. For the last 2 years, I work for Hargeisa Water Agents. It is governmental agents responsible for the water supply to the Hargeisa capital city. And I was one of the water engineers. Recently, I'm working for World Vision International, and I'm the project officer water infrastructure engineer. I enrolled this course to perform perfectly my role, which is water engineer. Also, I have enjoyed to find out my learning pattern. Really, this course enabled me to handle my work and to solve a lot of problems arises during my daily practice. I'm really appreciating and so thankful to have this chance. Thank you all.
I will want to quickly move to Madam Titi Lola Bright Oradami, who is an engineer and a monitoring, evaluation, and learning manager for the Lagos Water Corporation. If we have the recorded video, we can play it.
Yeah, I can.
Yes.
Wait me a second.
Okay, for our dear audience, and if Madam Titi Lola is available after the recorded video, if there are questions, clarifications, we will be very happy to have you clarify for us.
My name is Titilola Bright Oridami. I work with the Lagos Water Corporation in Lagos, Nigeria. I learned about the groundwater resource management course on LinkedIn, and because I have been looking for a way to broaden my knowledge on groundwater management and decided to take the course. The course was very easy, it was robust and not too technical, such that even if you don't have any technical background, it was very easy for you to follow and to learn. Each module was quite explanatory, and there were other additional resources and videos to enhance learning. However, I wish the course was more interactive with live sessions to deepen learning where students can interact with facilitators. I want to say thank you to the organizers of this program for giving me the opportunity to learn more about groundwater resources. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the recorded messages from our discussants. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that we have been privileged to have all these important, distinguished discussants and learners giving us reflections, even as we were not able to participate in the courses that were undertaken. Having heard from Madame Tiges Mesmo, Jima University, Ethiopia, Nancy Samyukta, Jawahar University, Technology University, India, Madam Asma, Hargeisa Water Agency, Somalia, and Madam Titi Lola Bright Oridami, Lagos Water Corporation. We can have some few minutes to seek clarification on anything that we were not very clear on. Our distinguished guests, if there is anything that we want to seek for clarification, we could do that now, mindful that we still have more time at the end to ask deeper questions. But if there's anything we want to clarify, please let me see by hands, or the technical team can let me know if there is anything that has come into the chat box that needs urgent attention at this moment.
Thank you so much, Dr. Azika. We have a question specifically for Tigist, which has also been answered in the chat box, but maybe we can also ask her to tell us. The question came from Dee, who'll talk later about insights. And she's glad to find that the course was practical enough to be able to carry on with your plans. And is there anything else that you would suggest could help you with your plans on improving data management? So a question for Tigist.
Okay, thank you for asking me. Yes, the course is practical because, as I have told you before, my specialization area is geotechnical engineering. So it deals with the water as well as the soil by itself. So there are a lot of problems which is happening here, like landslide. And one of the triggering factor for the landsliding is the fluctuation of the groundwater, especially during the summer season. There is a higher rainfall intensity in that area than the groundwater was recharged. So I would like to work on the data management system. Still now, there is no structured data management system at the country level, even though there is a huge organization which is working on it. So I'm trying to work with that, with the different experts, in addition to my specialty area. That was even I am trying to proceed with a PhD title like that of the data management system with that of the groundwater resources.
Great, thanks so much. Are there any clarification that came through the chat box, or we could move on given that we have some more time to ask deeper questions after?
There's one that came through. I think there's only one, and then we can move on, I think, Dr. Azika. It's a question from Mustafa, actually, is, or a point, there is need to have this course again for the other people who did not participate. yeah, what's being done to have this course happen again? Mustafa.
Thank you, Kerstin. Yeah, doing our best now to have get funding for the next year, because our wish is to have it every year, and also we are working on embedding the course in other regional institutions in Africa. For instance, in West Africa, in ECOWAS region, in French, or in SADC region, in English, even also in Portuguese countries. But so far, I regret to tell you that we don't have funding for the next year. We know that the demand is here, but we are working, we have a meeting, the advisory group meeting next week, and we'll see that we'll find someone who's willing to fund the next session next year. That's all. I think, Cassie, you can also add something if you...
Nothing to add. Back to our chair, Dr. Azika.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks so much. Funding has been underscored as a challenge that we need to. Yes, thanks so much. And I hope Cassie is guiding me on time, but we will now want to move on to the co-facilitators. We are privileged to have two of them here, but unfortunately, we have just gotten an apology from Dr. Alexandros Makarigas, because he has some agenting that came out from UNESCO and we will not be able to benefit from his presence here to share his insights. But I'm happy we still can move on to the next discussion. Let's look in the next slide. Dina Mudimbu. Yes. So Miss D, as affectionately called, is a Master of Science in Remote Sensing and GIS from the University of Greenwich, and a first degree in a Bachelor of Science General in Geology and Biological Science from the University of Zimbabwe. If we have the recorded message, we could play it. Otherwise, if we are going to take care physically, I'm happy for either way. Okay.
Astika, I don't have the recorded the video from Diane.
No, we don't have the record.
Okay, but she's live.
Yeah, I am here.
Oh,
she's here. Yeah.
Oh, that is much preferred, even, Madam, please.
Yeah,
we do not have the knowledge that you are on the ground. Please let us have your insights, your experience, and how the course, your co-facilitation all went. Please, we are ready to learn from you. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you very much, Chair. And thank you for everyone who's joined and who's participating. I was a co-facilitator. The component that I had was for the data management. So it was interesting for me to hear Tigis say something about how she wants to move on with that. So as just looking broadly and overall, what I was getting from the course was the chance that I had to interact was that discussion section. So from a facilitator, co-facilitator's point of view, that for us was a way of trying to see how the material, the content it was being received by all the participants. And it was interesting. And also a learning experience for me as a facilitator. This was the first time for me to participate as a facilitator on CapNet on this type of course. So there was a lot to be learned on my part, just seeing what the different participants in their different countries are faced with when it comes to groundwater management. So taking from what points were raised with respect to what came out in the discussions, and then also how the participants evaluated the course. It was interesting to see how there's a lot of similarities across the different countries and the continents in what we face in groundwater management. And some of the things that we could take away from that would be that the discussion perhaps wasn't quite used as much as we could have used, because you'd find because it wasn't live, we would come back as facilitators and respond to what comments, what inputs the participants would have put in there. However, some of that would be, we were trying to engage, trying to carry on the chat. So perhaps participants would say something and then not come back to it again, maybe move on or move forward with other parts of the course. So perhaps going forward, we'd try to remind participants that it's an opportunity to chat, to maybe not live, because time zones also make it a bit difficult, and because everybody else is working as well, makes it a bit difficult for a course that's spread over a long period of time. So that was an opportunity that we could have used a little bit more, just to chat, engage, and even it allowed us to chat across, not just to the facilitator, but to other participants as well. The live sessions definitely is something that, from a facilitator's point of view, we think would also help. Just have, you know, a few sessions in there where we can engage and see where the challenges are. Some of the things that I think would also be nice to see would be like where I was asking to say, you know, is it practical enough? It's a very broad subject. So sometimes it's difficult to put everything within this time frame that we have. But again, if we get that opportunity to say, oh, this is useful, however, perhaps if you add this or you add that, then again, it gives us an opportunity to see how the course could change, how it could be structured a little bit differently going forward. And then the networking, it allows us to network with others with the participants and with the co-facilitators. You might find, because of the similarities of our challenges, some of the participants will move away from here wanting to address a certain component of the challenges that we have. And it would be so much nicer if it's not just you. So it would be, we could create networks out of these discussions and chats that we have to say, oh, look, here in Zim, I'm trying to do this. I'm going to set up a system. I'm doing the same in Nigeria or in, you know, Cameroon or wherever. And then, you know, it gives us an opportunity to go forward as a small group. So that's what I took from this course, and that there's a bit more opportunities that we could use with the same kind of platform, and that chance to really chat beyond just the content. One other thing was, there was a comment that perhaps some of the content was a bit too much, you know, but participants maybe felt they wouldn't be able to go through it all. But the idea was, because it's practical and something that you're going to apply, then you would come back to it later on. You might watch that video, you know, the long video, because it's useful for you. It's something that you want to address later on. You might just browse it during the time of the course, but we're trying to give information that could become very practical and useful for you as you go forward in your different areas. So for now, that's what I can share from where I was, you know, the hat that I was wearing throughout this course.
Thank you so much, Ms. D. We are very happy for the insightful, you know, experience. And you underscore it clearly, beyond the issue of the theory, the networking, the practicals, and putting it all, policy, into practice was something very interesting. And of course, the networking, I will still underscore it as one of the experience that we can take from. And I know one of the earlier questions was related, the earlier discussion was related to how do we ensure that even moving forward, we make this a face-to-case kind of distance, so that we interact with our facilitators as well as we, the learners, in quote, let me put it that way. We already have apology from the UNESCO, Dr. Alexandros, for his inability to be with us at this moment. I will then give the chance to our dear and distinguished participants, our dear and distinguished delegates, to interact with us at this moment. I'm happy for Madam Antonella to guide me through the questions that has come, whether specific or open. I know my discussants and Dr. Mustafa are still around to help us digest those questions. Anything that came through the chat box?
Thanks a lot, Dr. Zika. This is Kerstin here, so we're kind of sharing the technical and the content with Antonella, so I'll help you with the questions. I'd like to direct a question that's come up from many people, an issue to Damien, actually, who's the coordinator of the virtual campus. And it's to do with the interactivity between participants and facilitators. Maybe you can tell us what the platform can do, what could be better, and how we could improve going forward. So, question for Damien, actually.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Kerstin. Thanks very much, all of you. Yeah, there are a number of things which we could do. First of all, we have the discussion forums. So that's the basic, let's say, tool for interaction. And what we always hope for from this side of the courses, from the facilitation side, is that whenever a participant posts a comment or a question, that other participants can reply to him or reply to her. And we would like to see some sort of a chain reaction in which, you know, a discussion starts shaping on its own by the participants and generating some peer-to-peer learning and sharing of knowledge, sharing of experience, and also that the facilitators can join that chain reaction and change discussion as one more, because only the only difference between the facilitators and the participants could be in some cases some more expertise or some role in the academia, or simply that the facilitators have a more committed role in the course with the content developments. So what we all look forward to is to have this shared interaction. The other thing which the campus allows for, and we could consider this for coming editions. First of all, we can work in different cohorts. We can also, we are installing for 2023, we will have the latest version of EDX on our campus, and therefore we will be able to have group works, even though participants may be based in different countries and different continents. The platform starting next year will have the latest version, so we can have some group works in that direction. That's probably something good to keep in mind for a future interaction. Of course, this will also represent increased expectation of time and dedication from participants. So always, what I always say in my role in facilitating that courses take place is a little bit of, okay, be careful what you wish for, because sometimes people say, okay, we want more interaction, more participation. And then when the courses are running, then people face the truth that they have very little time to participate and so on. So I would say, yes, some tools are there and some others we can consider for next editions, and hopefully we have the opportunity to do so. Hope this helps, and back to you, Kerstin.
Thanks a lot, Damien. That's great and really helpful, and excited to think about group work on the platform. And if any people have ideas for exercises already for this course, please write them in the chat. I'd like to ask Titilola. Titilola, we played your recording. Is there anything else you'd like to add to what you've heard over and above what you said already? So just a few moments for Titilola.
Good evening, everyone. And I'd like to say thank you to the organizers and everyone who have joined online for this program this evening. I've been following all day, and I like to say it's quite interesting. I like the program because it gives me additional knowledge and the opportunity to learn about groundwater management the more. I have a bit of knowledge, but I've been looking for how to deepen it. And particularly for me, it is the place where you engage your stakeholders to help in groundwater resources management. It helps you to see that it is not about, for example, I work in the utility, and for us in the utility, we use a lot of groundwater. It helps me to see that it is not only about the utility, it is about everyone who uses this water. And it is very important, especially with the concept of climate change now, which is affecting everybody's life, particularly in Lagos, where I live. So it is now the responsibility of everyone, not only the corporation, but everyone who is using the water, as well as the government, to make sure that we safeguard these very, very important resources. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Titilola. That's great. And I think we'll hand it back to you, Dr. Azika. I don't see any more specific questions, but please keep interacting in the chat. This is an opportunity, and back to you.
Thank you so much for helping me out with the questions. And I also, as the chair, I just take the opportunity to ask one small question to Dr. Mustafa, because the number of participants was huge, but then we ended up, and we mentioned that some of them were not able to complete through the course. We only had up to 117. What were the challenges that made them not to complete the course?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, when you see that issues that we face, that the recorded participants are not the same the number of participants that are completing the courses. We have some drop-off in this meantime. And I think this is linked to many online courses. People that are recording and recorded in the courses are not the same. And in our these courses, the percentage of people who completed the courses is, if we, recall numbers that we face in other online courses, this percentage is very, very good. And even our expert, Damian, can confirm this, that we have a huge percentage. Also, let me explain one thing also, that you see in the number of people that are active and the people that are completing the courses. Someone who are completing, who are participating in the courses did not interested perhaps in getting a certificate or completing the survey or something like that. They may be interested in getting the knowledge, gaining the knowledge. That's all. And then they're not going further, and that's why at the finish, at the end, we only have 121 people that complete successfully, did the survey and download the certificate. Even some people did not download the certificate and they completed. So it's something that is linked to the online courses. Yeah,
absolutely. Doc, thanks so much. Just so we take the learning from that in the future courses, so that we'll be able to have a full, complete set of our participants going through and through. At this moment, given the limited time I have at this moment, we are still going to collect the questions that will come from the chat box, and we'll still respond to them. But at this moment, I wanted to draw closer to the ends of this particular webinar. And who are the very important people to call at this moment to give us some closing remarks? From BGR, you will see that they funded the course, and I got signal that our BGR representative is online with us. Please, if you are, you can have some few minutes to give us some remarks.
Yes, thank you very much. Here I am. Thanks for all. also for giving me the opportunity to close this webinar. First of all, I would like to start with a big thanks to all that have been involved in this course. So first of all, to Mustafa and Kerstin and all facilitators and co-facilitators that made possible this course. Also to CAPNet and Damien for hosting the course. Also to a big thanks to the advisory board that was behind the preparation of this course. I think they commented a lot, they supported with networking, that was very important. I think also I want to thank to AMCO and its groundwater program to giving their umbrella for this activity. And also, of course, and very especially also a big thanks for all the participants for the time and for the efforts in making this course and making most of this course. I think many of you are the ones that are really putting into practice groundwater management, and I'm very happy to hear also the feedback from you in this webinar. So I would like to share some ideas only why I think, and I want to echo also what many of you said in this webinar, why I think good capacities for groundwater management are so important. I want to highlight 3 points. So I think for managing groundwater for all, including those that are many times left behind, and those and also ecosystems that are many times not thought of, it's very important to have good capacities and a good understanding of groundwater management. Second point, it is very important to avoid over abstraction of groundwater. That is really a problem in many regions. To avoid depletion and pollution of groundwater resources so that they can serve the needs for drinking water and for climate change adaptation and so on. But I would also like to highlight the third point, that it is important to have good capacities in groundwater management to avoid also an underuse of groundwater. That is maybe not that often highlighted, but I think it's very important that those regions that suffer from water scarcity and have the potential to use groundwater resources can do so. And I think it's very important to have good groundwater management capacities, especially in these regions, to make most of the groundwater resources and to meet also the need of the population and economies and the farmers and so on in this region. So I think it's very important to roll out groundwater management capacities also to the subnational and local level. That's why we also supported this kind of online courses, because we think it's a great opportunity to roll out capacities to a much bigger audience. I think it's very important because it's really at the local level where the decisions are being taken, where the projects are being designed, and where really groundwater management is being put into practice. So that's why we from BGR are very happy to be part of this story of these online courses, and we would be very happy if this course could be continued also with other partners. We are working in many areas, in many meetings for that, and we are also happy to continue to support capacity development activities. And yeah, it has been a pleasure to hear your feedback and your experience with this course. And thanks again to all the organizers, to AMCO and all others for this webinar. And back to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Michael Enschhorst. I hope I got your name right. Thanks so much, and we are really privileged and happy we've taken note of your experience and then the few highlights that you want us to consider moving forward. At this moment, and as the chair for the occasion, I just wanted to share just a quick summary of how far we have gone up to this point. This has been very informing, and you will agree with me that we've been much more enlightened that over 75% of the African population still rely on groundwater, very important. Therefore, capacity, knowledge management, and information sharing on groundwater resources is very important. The need to improve gender, I have underscored that here. I wanted it to be more of 50-50, but I could see that in terms of participation of women, we got up to 32. Let's take measures in place to ensure that we increase the effective participation of our young ladies, given that we want to promote gender and youth as central to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goal. Of course, it has been underscored that undergraduate and other diploma courses need to be considered in the future. Knowledge gained from the courses was very high, as we saw from Dr. Mustafa, over 52%. Participants' expectations were highly met, close to 70%, as we saw. But funding is very critical moving forward to sustain these particular or important courses, be it physical or online. But of course, it has been underscored. And maybe at the tail end of the courses, we should see how we can bring the participants, even if it is just 1 or 2 days at a point, face-to-face interaction, as underscored by Ms. D, that the networking was also very important, despite the fact that it was online. And of course, the opportunity to learn about groundwater was underscored from India, from also Somalia, and then even Nigeria. Our discussant from Nigeria underscored that as well. And then deepening the policy and practice angle. And we just heard from Mr. Michael from BGR that we need to consider making the platform more interactive, and let's consider effective utilization of groundwater resources, because it's finite. We need to protect it. We need to make efficient and effective utilization of it, given current challenges of climate change, flooding, drought, and what have you. On this particular note, I want to thank you all, my dear participants, the technical team that has helped me all this far, the co-conveners, and then the convener themselves for making this possible. And we look forward to the next webinar, which will be on the Kirsten, the next webinar is
the
on
1st of December. The 1st of December.
December. Very good.
December, 1st of December.
Very good. So at this moment, I would still even want to defer to either Kirsten or Dr. Mustafa if there is any closing announcements that we need to note.
You have done it perfectly. There's nothing to add.
Nothing to add.
Thank you so much, my dear participants.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. It has been very engaging, but time is no more a friend at this moment. I brought the curtains down to the official closing of this webinar. Thank you so much. All the best to all of you. Wherever you
thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, thank you. See you next time
Thank you.
on the 1st.
Exactly, on the 1st.